So to me, this report, Chair, is actually irrelevant.
Order.
Just hold
Chair,
on. Hold on.
order, Chair.
No, hold on, Madam. Please.
Let me just guide.
Just hold on.
But you cannot just put on record and say a report is irrelevant.
No, allow me to present my case.
So that we can
Madam
be able
Tabitha,
to
stop ring-fencing and defending. Honorable John can defend himself.
I'm not defending. I'm just trying to allow.
Let me say my case.
But you just walked in. You should look at the report.
I was here. I went for another committee. Stop stopping me to do my job. This is a problem with us.
Okay.
Allow me to make my case.
Onyonka, order. Onyonka. You don't have to shite or bang. You've just served the purpose you've come in to do. Okay?
Let her defend the system.
No. You've just served the purpose you've come in to do, which is make your political statement.
Thank you. CS. My worry is that I think we are actually dealing with what doesn't look substantive. The reason for that is that we are here discussing about the regional intention of initially agreeing that the debt to GDP ratio was basically going to be the standard which we are going to use, just like I've had my chairman say that even in America or Japan, they're now at about 100%. But what he forgets as an economics student, what I know is that the fundamentals that exist in America and Japan cannot be compared with Kenya. We are still an agrarian society. We are still a country that is basically running our republic as a Ponzi scheme. And the reason for that is you were there. Unfortunately, we did not do what our job was, is we allowed the executive to now go and borrow money any which way they want, and there's nothing that can stop them, and the Senate and the National Assembly have no role to play. So my argument is all these things that we are talking about convince me, my brother, that we are not going to borrow anymore for recurrent expenditure. Because history has always borrowed. All of you have worked in the ministry. Why were we borrowing? To do certain targeted projects which were deliberate. And now we are borrowing just to fill in the gaps. We are paying debts by borrowing, and we are not discussing that. So to me, this report, Chair, is actually irrelevant.
Order.
Just hold
Chair,
on. Hold on.
Order, Chair.
No, hold on, Madam. Please.
Let me just guide.
Just hold on.
But you cannot just put on record and say a report is irrelevant.
No, allow me to present my case.
So that we can
Madam
be able
Tabitha,
to
stop ring-fencing and defending. Honorable John can defend himself.
I'm not defending. I'm just trying to allow.
Let me say my case.
But you just walked in. You should look at the report.
I was here. I went for another committee. Stop stopping me to do my job. This is a problem with us.
Okay.
Allow me to make my case.
Onyonka, order. Onyonka. You don't have to shite or bang. You've just served the purpose you've come in to do. Okay?
Let her defend the system.
No. You've just served the purpose you've come in to do, which is make your political statement. Honorable Mbadi, I want you to, that statement is as a walk-in for political statement and walk out, predictably, by Senator Onyonka. Unfortunately, he is a senator. He has a right to be in this committee and air what he has to say, but you do not have to respond to that. You have responded to questions we've raised. If you have sub-questions, we will ask you the questions on the basis of the response, because this is not arbitrary information you're sharing with us. It's the committee's questions to National Treasury. The clarifications, it will be anchored within what you have shared for us to ask for clarification. So that expels off the record, and you don't have to respond to that one. Because the main objective, as it has been the routine of my brother, is to come in, make political statement, and walk out. That's duly noted. He has done exactly what he needed to do for purpose of public consumption. Senator Essie, if you have any question, please do.
Chair, now I was confused because we said we are listening to the presentation, then ask questions. But in between, you are asking so many questions, so I'm even lost with whatever I had. At what point do I ask? Okay, thank you, Chair. Waziri, we are still within the issue of debt management. And on the response you gave on the fiscal consolidation that you have mentioned, that is aiming to reduce the fiscal deficit from 5.3% to 2.7% of GDP, that's by the financial year 2028-2029, has always been affected by the supplementary budgets that are presented in Parliament in the course of the financial year. What are your comments on that? And then, what demonstration do we have to show that the MDAs in the financial year of 2025-2026 prepare their budgets under the zero-based budgeting? And how much savings did the government get from the same? And on the issue of the e-procurement system that you have actually brought in place, what specific areas of leakages that you identified that this system seeks to cure? And the other one, we talked about the securitization of the 7 shilling that is aiming to raise the said 175 billion. That is estimated to be achieved. I would wish to know under what period do we look at this? And is this form of bond in the government record of debts? And if that is the case, how are you treating it in the fiscal framework? Thank you.
Senator Maria.
Thank you, Chair. I have only one question, Chair. And Waziri, that is on the expenditure reforms. On your expenditure reform, which you have said that improvement of this expenditure is effective in the public expenditure the government will. I was expecting there is in January this year there is state corporations which has been reduced from 42 to 20 because of overlapping functions of the state corporations. And I don't see it as, you have not highlighted it as one of the expenditure measures of controlling the expenditure reforms. Does it mean it has not been effectively? Or because that reform is done in this to 20 January this year, supposed to be this year effective, this year 2025, 2026. Why is it not in your expenditure reforms?
Okay, finally, Waziri, the reason why I wanted to stop you at that point is because these inputs on debt, you know, it's a lot, and it's going to form the bulk. So just going to the PFM amendment, then in line with the section 2C, 2B, Treasury will then be required to amend the debt sustainability analysis table so that it's reflective of the reality of the bill that we seek to do when you look at the 5-year term. Okay? Proceed to answer the questions in the order it was asked.
Yeah, Chair, thank you very much for your time again. I will first start with Senator Nyakul. Okenyuri. Esther. I think Esther is easier. Going forward, you will be Esther. Yeah, because otherwise I will be struggling and murdering your name. Effects of supplementary budgets. Yes, this is a challenge. This is a problem that this country has been grappling with, that we do a budget and in the process or in the course of the year, we revise it multiple times. And revising budgets multiple times is not a bad idea in itself, but revising it for 2 reasons. 1, additional expenditure pressures, and 2, unrealistic revenue that end up not being collected. So KRA failing to meet the targets. So, but you can see, and you'll agree that from 2022, or let me start with 2021, 2022, there has been some efforts. 2020, 2021, the budget deficit was at 8.1%. It came down to 6.2. But from 2022 coming to now, the budget deficit has been going down. 6.2, 5.6, 5.3. I think last financial year we'll finally land at about 5%. And then we are intending to move to at least 4.8. Now, that is what we are projecting, that going forward should go up to 2.7. But what did we do to curb against possibility of again raising the budget deficit in the course of the year? This year, our revenue projection was revised drastically downwards from the initial 2.9, actually 3.0, I mean 3.018 trillion downwards to now what we have in the final figures of 2.757 trillion. That is a huge reduction of almost 400 billion shillings. And for the first time, the PBO, the Parliamentary Budget Office, had a higher revenue projection than the National Treasury. And so to us, we wanted to start, because the moment you overproject revenue, you're clearly giving people appetite to spend what we don't have. And so that is one strategy. The second strategy is now for the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary, who is myself, to now contain the expenditure pressures together with the entire executive. I'm happy that the executive is alive to the fact that we don't have the luxury. From the top, the head of state, the head of government, he knows and he talks about it to the cabinet every day, that we don't want unnecessary expenditure pressures. We have dealt with some, like the CBA implementation for teachers. Fortunately, last year we did quite a bit with the other civil servants, especially the disciplined forces. So we don't have that pressure this year. There would be pressure of security. We hope there will be no much insecurity in most of the sections of this country. Whenever we have those insecurity situations, you have to intervene. I'm also praying that the weather gets the way it is or gets better, so that we don't have issues with feeding our people, which is again another area you cannot run away from just because you want to have that fiscal discipline. So with that, I would be able to resist any other pressures coming to me on Article 223 and the rest. Let me move to MDS. Yes.
Chair, through
Yes.
Chair,
Yes.
before you move through Chair, in your earlier submissions, you talked about the issues of the bonds. And
I want him to finish with Esther's.
my apologies. Proceed.
I could finish, then the Vice Chair can raise. Now, on the MDS,
Waziri,
yes.
I want to request the senators, let him finish the response to the questions asked. If there's any follow-up, you can ask, but so that we can exhaust, we don't do back and forth. Proceed.
So, sorry, Chair. On MDS and preparing the budget, zero-based budget, we did it. We have implemented this for the first time. 2025-26, we did the budget under zero-based budget. It was not perfect because, you know, when you are doing something for the first time, there are a lot of complications, misunderstanding. But I will tell you that we had onboarded, if missed, the zero-based budget. And so going forward, it's going to be improved and become better. But we have started the zero-based budgeting. E-procurement, what specific leakages to be dealt with, or what do we expect to realize from this? You see, the way we have been procuring our goods in this country has been open to abuse because it is purely manual. It is to an extent guesswork. In fact, even our procurement laws allow a lot of space because we started saying the lowest bidder, then we moved lowest evaluated bidder, and all this kind of terminology. Or the most responsive bidder, then we have. So you find people carrying cartons or papers, submitting, and then all of a sudden you are the lowest, you're the most competitive, but you are told you did not attach KRAP. That alone knocks you out. You move to the next, who probably quoted even 20, 30% more than you. And it is deliberate. Now, what we are saying, if you do it through the system, those will be eliminated. and it will be real time. Everybody is putting their information in there, and everyone is seeing it. And now you cannot come again and say that probably Senator, the chairman here, did not attach ETC, and yet it can be seen in the system. If an evaluation will be done in the system or being done in the system, and this we said from July 1st. So anybody who fails to procure through the system will not be paid. The payment will not be made. I know it has caused a lot of disquiet, and that is what we expected. And this is likely to save us a lot in terms of procurement, because this is one area which has been identified actually as the source of our loss of public funds. And you will agree, if you have been in this country, and I know all of us have been around, you, even if you are not doing business, just talk to business people. It has reached a point in this country where genuine businesses cannot even win tenders. You hear that for you to win a tender, you have to know somebody somewhere, or you have to influence the same. That we must cure that problem. And I'm very happy. In fact, if there is any system that I fought so hard to make sure that it goes through, immediately I went to the Treasury. I found this process on. But the challenges that were there, I made sure I unlocked them, including providing 560 million to kick it off. And I actually, this is the first, I think, Article 223, the fund that I gave through Article 223. This is the first one. And I think I'm very proud of it. Now, on securitization, is it in the GOK debts? Of course, it is. It must be in our books. But, you know, you can finance an expenditure in two ways, on budget and off budget. This one is an off budget financing. It is not a loan. What we are saying is you are selling a right. And by the way, those of us who are accountants, we know you can sell a right. You can sell an asset. You can receive receivables in advance. And that is what we are doing with this securitization money. I've had people say, what after you have securitized? So what else will you securitize to make sure that the work continues? We are saying this, that the moment you securitize and sort out the historical bills, we don't intend to again continue incurring those historical bills. We should now be budgeting properly and paying contractors when the certificates.
Yes, her point of concern is public visibility of the same process you're doing, so that the information you're sharing is in public purview in terms of a document on government, you know, that even the off-budget financing need to have public awareness in terms of access to information, so that the noble intent of trying to offset the aged liabilities and making sure the contractors finish the work they were given and return them back needs to be a bit accessible in terms of public information, and that's the part she was coming from.
Yeah, but I think also, Chair, there's been some good communication on this matter, and I don't think we are hiding any information. In fact, even committees of parliament can ask the Ministry of Roads, State Department for Roads, or even National Treasury. We can even appear collectively and explain what is this that we have done. And by the way, but you know, Chair, the honorable members here, and especially sitting in Finance Committee, you know the sensitivity sometimes of these transactions. There are things that you cannot do when the lead arranger is trying to get the fund. Because if you politicize an exercise like this beforehand, clearly you may end up even borrowing now at 20%. Or, I mean, getting the money or the funding at 20%. The market, capital market is usually very fluid. And with sometimes the kind of politics we play, if we bring it in here, it would distort the whole thing. But now, where we are, that is why even Eurobond, sometimes we get very careful. There is information that we give before, there is information that we have just to give when the transaction is concluded. Because if you give too much information ahead, even to the investors themselves, before the roadshow, if you give too much information, you distort the market. So but all the information on this securitization is available. And if I'm invited to speak to it anytime, I would do that. If my colleague Churchill, who has this information, he has every information about this, and he would come and appear and explain to you this account, the OC account, that collection account. He would explain the SPV. He would explain the lead arranger, which was the TDB. He would tell you about how much you have raised so far, how much we have disbursed. Yeah, we have paid all contractors who are owed by the government, all road contractors, up to 50 million. We don't have their debts, 100% paid. But anybody beyond 50 million, any contractor, 40%, and we are going to do 50% in the next 3 weeks. I mean, another 40% to make it 80. And then by November, we want to clear paying all those contractors so that the road construction resume. I think you asked about the fiscal framework. So I have said this is off budget, so it is not coming in our fiscal framework as a debt because it is not a debt. On Senator Omar, again, SOEs, I think I included under strengthening public finance management. I didn't put it as under expenditure reforms, but I talked about government-owned entities. By the way, there will be a lot of savings, but we have not concluded the exercise. The exercise is slower than we thought, but we are moving. Some of these SOEs were being collapsed, some were merged, some are going to be dissolved, and some are being declassified. Like you find some professional associations classified as parastatals. We are declassifying that. So the process is still ongoing. That's why I can't give the definite figures of how much we are saving. But I'm happy that something that we have been talking about for long, something is being done this time. Finally, on the state-owned enterprises, we are coming up with a government-owned enterprises bill, GOE, which is targeting specifically about 60 parastatals that are commercial by nature, so that their management is changed. Yeah, with currently even commercially viable state-owned enterprises, we are managing them like they are non-commercial viable. State-owned enterprises, where even appointments to the boards is political. If I lose my seat today, you lose your seat today. We look for you somewhere and we put you there. And not that you don't have the capacity, but should it be the only decision in forming membership of a board? No. So we are coming up with government-owned enterprises bill, which will come to the Senate, and this bill will now reform the management of the state-owned, commercially viable state-owned enterprises, where even appointment to the boards will be competitively done. And National Treasury, being the shareholder on behalf of the people of Kenya, will now be the one. You don't have a situation where the line ministry appoints board members, Kada, then National Treasury has some board members. They will be centralized under National Treasury, but the appointment and it will be a competitive process, and will be opening up these government-owned enterprises to private investment and private ideas, as we said about Safaricom and the rest. Let me leave it there, Chair. But Chair, I wanted just to point out that, so that this is not lost. We have been doing something to reduce this debt anchor. I know you told me not to respond to Senator Onyonka, but he made a serious allegation like we are stuck. Either we are stuck or rolling back. I mentioned that around 2022.
But yes.
Yeah.
The information you've already shared is with the committee.
Yeah.
There are certain inputs that are playing to public gallery. We want to maintain objectivity. I don't want you to respond to it because I've already directed that it is removed off the answer. There's just one follow-up question before I allow you to progress with the other issue.
Thank you, Chair, and that's why we always need the CSC. You see, you have a lot of information that is very critical. Just to write on what Senator AC had asked you earlier as far as the issue of this procurement system is concerned, just a comment. You need to ensure that there is a lot of awareness about it. We just got to know about it last week, but when the PPRA DG appeared before this committee in terms of the e-procurement system, Kenyans need to know that is the way. And what you also mentioned about the pension e-system, put so much awareness for Kenyans to know that that is the way to go. You have a lot that is just within you. That's why your office and your team needs to see how to bring it out. My question, I wanted to narrow it to what you said earlier, Waziri, in terms of the bonds. We have Talanta held a bond at 45 billion. RMLF securitization. And my concern is on reporting into the books, because as we speak currently, that has not been done. These are contingent liabilities, and we know very well that contingent liabilities are debts. What is your plan, and what are the risks of not even reporting this to books? Because when I had you make a response when you're responding to Senator AC, you talked about that they must be, but you have not done that. Why? And also the cost in terms of the period for this particular bond.
Chair, I hear the concern of Senator Tabitha, the Vice Chair, very well. On well, there is quite a number of securitizations that are lined up. The one that has gone far ahead at 2 now, the one for the RMLF, and this one of the Talanta, or rather the one for sports, the sports fund, which I would also tell you again that the sports fund, Chair, has been with us for so many years. What has it done? I will just, you all know that the last stadium that was built in this country is Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, by President Moi, much as we want to demonize that regime. But it is the only one that did 2 national stadia of international standards in this country. We are doing the 3rd now, the Talanta Stadium. So during President Kibaki's time, with all economic management that people praise, not even a single one. Uhuru's 10 years, not even a single one. Yet we have had this sports fund now for a while. Because when you get to the ground, you'll find an MP has gone and agreed to do 50 million in some corner somewhere. That if that 50 million was utilized properly, you would understand. But sometimes it's only used to put a shade in some school field. So we are saying, why can't we use these monies better? We are raising the money. But I want to just correct something. That this is not a loan, neither is it a contingent liability loan. Why? We are creating a special purpose vehicle and selling the right to this vehicle.
It's not a loan, but it's revenue from government. How do you report that? My concern is on how you're reporting it.
Yeah, so I will tell you that I will tell you the reporting. But I was saying, you know, the contingent liability, the liability is sold completely to the special purpose vehicle. That is now the difference between this and a loan or a guarantee. The government is not guaranteeing. What the government is saying, we are selling the right. Once you sell the rights, you have no right. And you sell the rights and sell the risk. So the risk is sold to SPV. There is no time that if this money is not paid, then now, because there are people who will come and buy this bond, okay? The people who buy this bond, the liability has been, everything else, the risk has been sold to the SPV. So there is nothing that again differs back to government. But in terms of reporting, I will tell you this.
What she's saying is there's some proceeds either way. You know, the objective is to raise money. Right?
Yes.
The concern is how do you capture this for purpose of public information, you know, in terms of reporting. So now continue with it.
We actually will be reporting the annual debts, yeah, will always be reported. We will always give you these figures, including contingent liabilities, if I may go to that part of the contingent liabilities, including even those that are related to PPPs, because there are contingent liabilities. So there is a reporting that we do every year, And if you go to our system, website, you'll get it. Even this securitization, it is not lost. By the way, I would even report to you today that the collection account, because we haven't issued the bonds yet. If you go to the OC account, the collection account, where the 7 shillings goes today, it has 21 billion shillings in that account. And it is there for Kenyans to see. This 21 billion, up to 20th of June, it was 21 billion. This 21 billion, sorry, someone is talking. I might had my own things. So, you see, the 21 billion is not even paying the debt. It's available for us. And there are roads that have already been lined up, most of them in Nairobi, the eastern side of Nairobi. We are going to do those roads. Look at this road, the expressway here. This expressway, up, we are enjoying. Down is chaos.
I think, Waziri, I appreciate you are a very good politician and a very good administrator at the same time. No, I want you to stick to the administration part of it. Let's not divert the question that I'd asked you, because my concern is in regards to reporting, and that has not been done. For these 2 bonds, that has not been done. In terms of trying to explain the importance of these funds, in terms of building these stadiums, in terms of expressway and all that, that is okay, that is fine. I just wanted you to narrow as to why this is public money, this is public revenue. It needs to be reported. And the discussion we are having today here is in regards to that. We just need to just be on the same page on that.
But you see, Senator, maybe I was not getting you clearly. I was just trying to find out what exactly could be the miscommunication. You see, Senator, there's this collection account. It's still a government account, okay? And again, all these reports, the public debt, liability, where we have contingent liabilities, by 30th of September, we have a responsibility to report. And we will report. We'll bring all these reports. But September, we still have days. Do you want me to bring it earlier, Senator? We can try to work and beat the deadline. Maybe if you want it by July, interim report, we will. But September 30th, we will. We are required, by the way, by law to report. So all these reports will come out. Yes. Okay. Now I'm happy that now I have understood you, because I was struggling.
He just stated something, but
Yes.
you've understood that finally.
Oh, very well, yes. So, Chair, do I move forward at this time? I think it's,
Yeah, you go to
page 9?
number 20.
Yeah.
Public debt is stock in Kenya.